Hey everyone. Top 10 films of 2017. I'm Avi. I'm gonna be leading this hangout. Everyone could introduce themselves. Ryan, you start. Introduce yourself.
Oh,
Hey
you
guys,
start
I'm
Houston.
hey guys, I'm Ryan. Looking forward to hearing what everyone's 10 favorite films are and talking about them.
Hi, I'm
Jacob.
Jacob. This is like my favorite time of the year to talk about year in review stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to be a part of this. Thanks for having me.
And Colton.
Hi, I'm Colton, and since due to a recent change in my work schedule preventing me from joining my another set of hangouts I'm a part of, I'm glad to be part of this one.
Okay, so how this will work is, we'll be counting down our 10 through 6. First, we're gonna go through omissions, just popular stuff or not popular stuff that might have a chance at cracking our top 10s. I'll go first. And then I'll list my 10 through 6 is how we'll start. Popular things I haven't seen. I've yet to see Phantom Thread. I have yet to see The Post. I've yet to see I, Tonya. I've yet to see Call Me by Your Name. And probably the big one that I really have no excuse that I could watch at any time since it's on my Vudu. I've yet to see Dunkirk.
The
And I feel like there's one more. I haven't seen Molly's Game. Yeah, but that's fine, I guess. And okay, so now I'll start with my 10 through 6. I had a tough time ordering this. Okay, so my number 10 is, and I know this has gotten some like backlash as it's a little overrated, I guess some people say, but I don't care. I really like it. Wonder Woman is my number 10. And so Wonder Woman, I just thought, like, I'm not the biggest superhero fan, but I thought like it was just I admired the chemistry between Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. Um, and I like the action sequences. No Man's Land is one of my favorite scenes of the year. I think we'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum. I just referred it to it by its title. Um, yeah, I really liked everything about it. People say the third act's a little bland, but I didn't really see it. I just really liked it. There's not much more I could say. I just thought it was a good movie from start to finish. My number 9 is something that was higher, and then I moved it one spot. My number 9 is Baby Driver. I just think I always admire like how much effort like a director puts into like making everything practical. I always admire all that stuff, and I appreciated how like all the scenes were set to the music exactly, and they built the scenes around the specific song they picked. And I'm a big fan of Edgar Wright, and this is probably my favorite Edgar Wright movie. Um, uh, I think like Shaun of the Dead second. Um, yeah, and I just really admired it. It was a really good just action movie from start to finish, and I really like John Hamm. If I could single out one performance, I really like John Hamm out of everyone in it. Um, yeah, so Baby Driver is my number 9. Number 8 is number eight's The Big Sick. It's just like a good romantic comedy if I could explain it as anything. I The Big Sick is has probably one of my favorite screenplays of the year. I think Kumail Nanjiani and Zoe Kazan, right? Zoe Kazan is his wife in the movie. Okay, his
Yep.
girlfriend. Um, so yeah, so I like their performances. I really liked Ray Romano. I know a lot of people liked Holly Hunter more. I really liked Ray Romano, and yeah, I just thought it was a good movie. Like I'm not really good at explaining, but yeah, I just thought it was a funny movie. My number 7 is the movie I moved up 2 spots because I was like, I feel really bad about putting it at 9, and it's probably the best directed movie of the year, Blade Runner 2049. Um, just even if you say the movie's too long or too boring, you have to admire how well made the movie is. Every shot of the movie is pretty much Roger Deakins being like, "You're gonna give me that Oscar. I don't care." Um, for 2 hours and 45 minutes, I have like 30 favorite shots in this movie. I think from start to finish, it's beautifully directed. Even if you find it boring, it's just beautifully made, like a beautifully made movie. And then I'll list my number 6, and we'll go to the next person. My number 6 is the one my number 6 is the one documentary I have on my list, since I included a documentary. I'm not gonna say the full title. It's Jim and Andy. It's a really good movie about method acting, and if method acting goes, I'm trying just not to spoil things. It's the behind the scenes of Man on the Moon, where Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman and Tony Clifton. It's just a really good movie about method acting, and if method acting ever goes too far, and it's Jim Carrey narrating like the behind the scenes and what happened. And yeah, it's just a really good movie. So yeah, Ryan, you could go say things you haven't seen yet, and yeah, and then 10 through 6.
Great. Well, thanks. Those are some fun first 5 movies to get us kicked off with. The biggest thing I haven't seen is definitely Phantom Thread. It just hasn't opened near me, so haven't been able to get to it. Another movie that's not going to appear in my top 10, but it may. It's contingent because I really want to see it again, but for some reason it's not opening near me. Is Call Me by Your Name. I saw it at an early film festival, and I liked it, but had some issues, and therefore it's just chilling in my number 12 spot right now. But it's a film that could theoretically jump back in, given another watch. So to get kicked off with my top 10, at number 10 is an art house horror movie that I saw pretty early in the year, and that was Personal Shopper. I think Kristen Stewart gives one of the best performances by an actress in the entire year. This movie was just brilliantly directed, really interesting, had good tension. I really liked this movie. I'm glad that it got a really good Criterion release, and it's a welcome addition to my top 10. My number 9 film is a film that has been much derided, a film that, depending on the...
Did he freeze?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's frozen.
Dang it.
Ryan!
I unmuted my microphone and it froze, but I don't know if it has.
I
Right?
didn't get the film. He's dead.
So
Just
how about
as he-
the Eagles?
Just as he was building up to a
Googling that.
controversial pick.
I hate Googling it so much.
Do you think he knows he's frozen?
He's probably still going talking about his movie.
He's up to number 1 by now.
Send him a message on Facebook, maybe.
Yeah, okay. Gosh, I hate Googling it so much.
My list is going to be very uninspired. I'm just forewarning you. I only saw maybe 20 to 30-ish films last year.
Wow.
Since last year was the year where a whole bunch of anticipated blockbusters came out. That's mostly what I saw.
I'm trying to think if we should just go to Jacob until.
Let's give him 60 seconds before we
sure.
decide to change.
And then
Send him.
Send
him a message. Yeah, cool.
In the group chat, because we could always just go to Jacob, and then if Ryan unfreezes, we could go back to him.
Yeah.
So you want to start?
Yeah, give him maybe 30 seconds.
This is frustrating. Unless
Quality.
Caleb's seen the message. So is Manning. So is Jake. but no Ryan.
Can we just get Caleb to come replace him?
We're probably going to edit this all out. Colton could edit this together, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
you
no
can edit it?
problem.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I got nothing else to do, so I'll get my
nice weather.
I'll get my editing skills back up to par for when the Mediocrity
He's
Awards
back.
comes
Back.
out.
Okay, you up to 9. It was a controversial pick.
And you froze right before you said the movie title.
It was planned. Okay, so just start over from 9, and then Colton could edit it. Oh, did he freeze again?
Oh no!
I think you should just leave this in. Throw Ryan under the bus. Oh, he's back.
And he's moving.
Hey,
Ryan, quickly before you freeze again. What's the name of the movie?
the number 9 movie, The Book of Henry.
Woo! I like that movie.
I love this movie. It
a good
moved
movie.
me emotionally. It's great. So the Book of Henry, despite its critical derision, is in my top 10 of the year.
I can't even finish. Okay, go to
So
eight.
we're gonna keep this going.
Yeah.
Hopefully this works now.
I don't even think Colton should edit this.
At number 8, I've got the Pixar darling Coco. I adored this movie as well. It's so interesting, visually imaginative, and a great story. It definitely moved me to tears in the theater, which confused a lot of the children sitting around me.
I cried during Inside Out, so don't feel any shame.
Yeah, Inside Out. Inside Out.
I cried during both.
No, Inside Out was like a 3 crier. So
Wow. I thought you were going to say it's like a 3, like out of 5, and I was like, what?
no.
I was like,
But Coco, love that movie. Next up on the list, another art house horror movie from A24 this time, and that was It Comes at Night. I really thought this movie was like cleverly made and designed and like very dreamlike in an interesting way. And it was a movie that I saw over the summer when I was convinced that 2017 was going to be a terrible year. That was like, okay, there are some good movies that are going to come up this year. So really dug It Comes at Night. It came in at number 7. And then at number 6 is one of, I guess, in the pack for like actual awards. And that's Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water.
oh, that.
I love this riff on Creature from the Black Lagoon. There's like a lot of fun things going on here. Michael Shannon, Michael Stuhlbarg, Sally Hawkins. It's just amazing. It has one of the best single lines of the year, and it's like a silent line too, which is amazing. And there's so much going on in this movie that is just great. So The Shape of Water hits at number 6. So I think I'm throwing to Jacob now.
Yeah. He could
I
say.
remember someone saying that The Shape of Water was a better Beauty and the Beast movie than the actual Beauty and the Beast film.
I mean, I wouldn't be
Fact.
surprised.
Okay, so Jacob could say omissions and stuff.
All right. There's a lot of stuff I haven't seen solely because Australia doesn't get most of the Oscar releases till like late January to mid-February. So haven't seen Darkest Hour, The Post, I, Tonya, The Shape of Water, Molly's Game, Lady Bird. There might be a couple others.
There's
but
one.
yeah.
At least I've seen one.
So, this list is not finalized until I see all of those, but this is what I got for now. And all right. I saw over 180 movies this year, so there's a lot that I loved, and I'm going to rattle off a few honorable mentions because I have to. I'm just going to rattle off a bunch of names. It, Paddington 2, It Comes at Night, Baby Driver, Only the Brave, Detroit, The Florida Project, The Big Sick, Mother, and The Disaster Artist are my honorable mentions. Okay, number 10, movie that I didn't love the first time I saw it, and then I saw it 4 times, and it kept growing on me, and it managed to cling to my 10 spot, is Blade Runner 2049. I wasn't sure what to think of it the first time I saw it. I was like, it's all right, like 4 out of 5, and then you just keep going back to it, and it just gets better and better every single time, and it's a testament to how well-paced it is that it's 2 hours and 45 minutes long, and I didn't get bored once watching it. Like, it's incredibly paced. Ryan Gosling is amazing. Agent K is such a really compelling character. Sylvia Hoeks did a great job playing the villain, and Jared Leto I thought was pretty good. He gets a lot of shit, but he was pretty good. And I just love this movie. It's a visual masterpiece, and I think it's right up there with the first one, if not better.
It's better.
Number 9. What I think is one of the most criminally underseen movies and underappreciated movies this year that I saw pretty early on is Trainspotting 2, T2 Trainspotting. I saw this in the theater pretty early in the year, and I loved it. I think it's just about it's on par with the first one, I reckon. Ewan McGregor and Ewan Bremner are incredible in it. It takes elements of the first one that you love, and then it matures. These characters have matured, and it's about that. It's not just saying, hey, look, heroin and stuff. It's, about these sort of lifelong friends who drifted apart and sort of maybe coming back together. I don't know, but it's really, really well directed by Danny Boyle and really well written, and it's fantastic. Number 8 is one that is getting awards, and I would not have picked this at the start of the year. It's Get Out. Dude, it's a horror thriller comedy that came out in February that is probably going to get nominated for Best Picture. Like, nobody saw this shit coming. When I first saw it, I'm like, holy shit, that might be the most fun I'll have in a theater this year. The crowd was so into it. Cheers when Rod Williams shows up at the end and stuff. It is so much fun, and it's so smart. Such a brilliant social satire. But what sets it apart is that it never forgets to entertain. It never forgets to be a horror movie and a thriller, and that's what makes Get Out so great. Number 7, another really underrated movie in my opinion, just got added to Netflix here. Thank you guys. It is Good Time. This is a movie that I've been recommending to everybody I know, and no one seems to love it as much as I do. So I'm just grasping at all the friends I have, like, watch Good Time, please. I need validation. I think it's a brilliant 70s style gritty crime thriller. Like, Michael Mann fucked early Martin Scorsese, and Robert Pattinson is next level in this. If there were any justice in the world, he'd be getting nominated for Best Actor. He's incredible. He's transformative. Benny Safdie is fantastic as his brother, and it's just such a visually interesting movie that borrows from a lot of different places but still manages to stand up on its own. And I really can't wait to see what the Safdie brothers do next. And number 6 is another one that came out very early and had no right to be as good as it was, is Logan. James Mangold pulled it off. He got to execute his vision. And I was kind of blown away by how good this was. I wasn't really expecting it. Hugh Jackman is amazing. Daphne Keane is still one of my favorite performances of the year in that. The action is great, but it's a Western, it's a drama, and there's nothing I can really say about Logan that hasn't already been said. It's just fantastic. And it might be my favorite superhero movie ever made. All right, Colton.
All right, that's pretty good list, man. So anyway, my list. First, a couple things that could have been on my list if I actually got to see them. The Disaster Artist. There's still time for me to see it, but I probably should have. I didn't see it when I came. Like, I wish I had seen it earlier. Is what I'm saying, though. And there's also some of the Oscar nominees, or some of the Oscar contenders, like The Post, Molly's Game. I think the one film last year that I didn't see that I really am upset about, and that was because it just never came to my theater, was Battle of the Sexes. Emma Stone as Billie Jean King, Steve Carell as...
It's fine.
Whatever that guy's name was.
Emma Stone is great, though.
Yeah, she's
Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King. Yeah.
What?
Bobby Riggs is the guy's name.
Yeah, Bobby Riggs. So thank you, Bobby. So I was really looking forward to it, and it just never came to my theater. I'm like, damn it, all the hell.
It's solid.
So yeah, I'll see Emma Stone in anything really, but maybe not Aloha, but other than that,
Aloha is awful.
But anyway, yeah, those are my could have beens. So anyway, number 10 on my list, and this is gonna be a bit of an unimaginative list since I only saw about 30-ish films and most of them are blockbusters. But anyway, number 10 on my list is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is a movie that I feel like encompasses what's the best and the worst parts of the MCU, in that, it has fantastic acting. The comedy, when it's funny, it's really funny. The dramatic moments, they really hit. But at the same time, when the comedy isn't funny, it's very noticeable, especially in comparison to the first movie. I feel like the jokes weren't quite as spaced as well and what have you. And the pacing of the story could have been handled a little bit better and whatnot. So that's why it's as low on the list as it is. But it's still was still a highly enjoyable film, doing way more with these characters than I ever thought would have been expected. I mean, still, who would have thought that just a talking raccoon could get so much emotion out of you, but and talking in a small talking tree. But also, this movie, people say that the MCU has bland soundtracks. I dare them to listen to the entirety of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 soundtrack and tell me that not soundtrack, it's musical score, and tell me that this is boring. It's some of the best music I've heard in the MCU, I'd say. And that's my number 10. Number 9 was the biggest surprise for me of all last year, and that was Power Rangers. This movie had no right to be as good as it was. But when I saw the trailers for it, I thought, oh, great, they're turning the Power Rangers into the Breakfast Club. How exciting. But strangely enough, that actually worked. The team actually had a very good dynamic. They had very good chemistry. I could buy that they were, strangers that managed to bond over, just over their life experiences and whatnot, and actually become a team. In fact, the character developments were so good that it almost came at the expense of the actual Ranger stuff, which they didn't have enough time to do in the whole film, and that's why it's as low on the list as it is at number 9. Because I mean, I like character development as much as the next guy, but you know, when I go to a movie called Power Rangers, I also go to it to see the Rangers in action. But the Ranger stuff we did get was pretty cool from time. Was pretty cool. Just a bit of a tease for. So hopefully, if they ever do manage to, by some miracle, get a sequel, maybe we'll get more Ranger business. But it was still an enjoyable experience, nevertheless, and one that I'm glad got made, and one that I'm glad I saw. Coming at number 8, and this might be a tad, maybe a tad controversial, I don't know, but it's Spider-Man: Homecoming. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero ever, and I would love to have him much higher on this list, the top 5 maybe. No, but the reason he's as low on the list as he is because the story is only good. It's not amazing. They do just enough to bring Spider-Man back into the fold. You know, get us used to this new character and all that take on the character and all that jazz. Tom Holland, he did a great job, especially during that one scene during the 3rd act when he's trying to pull himself out of that rubble. Minor spoiler alert, I guess. And he's extremely scared that he's not going to get out. I'm like, man, that's some of the best acting I've seen out of a Spider-Man film, to say the least. Granted, 2 is still my favorite, but that's another story. But besides, the action scenes were also cool for the most part. Robert Downey Jr. still does what he does best, having a good wit, but also showing that he can work as a mentor to Peter when he's properly motivated. And Jacob Batalon was funnier than I expected he was as Ned Leeds. Like, I thought he was just going to be the annoying comedy relief, but he actually was as annoying as I was expecting him to be. In fact, he was played a bit more of a straight man to Peter than you would be led to believe going off the trailers. So yeah, sure. Yeah, sorry. My dad just asked me a question. I just got totally thrown off. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, Jacob Batalon, he was pretty cool. And Zendaya, they could have done more. Well, she was good for what she was. I mean, the whole, teasing that, hey, by the way, I'm MJ at the end, that was kind of silly since, that was like the worst kept secret of Spider-Man Homecomings. But so hopefully they'll do more with her in the next Spider-Man film. But overall, yeah, that's my number 8. And number 7, and this was another surprise for me, which I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did, but that's Happy Death Day. So a Groundhog Day black comedy. It sounds like something that would be good on paper, but would be improperly executed. But much to my shock, they actually managed to pull it off. I found this movie legitimately hilarious, especially when they just fully embraced the black comedy aspects, like when the main character, Tree, just starts to, when she starts trying to find out who killed her, she just basically goes through this entire montage where she keeps getting killed over and over again, and the movie just plays it up to the song "I'm Confident" by Demi Lovato. It's absolutely fun to watch. And that's why probably the best thing I can say about this movie. It was just a good fun time at the films, at the theater. It didn't take itself too seriously, but when it did take itself seriously, it actually felt pretty sincere. Like Tree's actress, I can't remember her name, but she was able to make me got me to feel sorry for this character rather than just wanting to see her getting rather than wanting to see bad things happen to her and whatnot. So that's a pretty good accomplishment, especially for a horror film, to say the least. And it did have some clever writing from time to time. Like, there are twists in there, and some of the twists actually, if you're paying attention, the clues are actually legitimately there. So it's not like a shocking swerve when it's revealed. And number 6 on my list is War for the Planet of the Apes. Gotta say, when Rise of the Planet of the Apes was first announced, I'm like, oh my gosh, are they really doing this? But as we all know, it was a big hit. And then Dawn of the Planet of the Apes continued the momentum. And War for the Planet of the Apes, while they didn't go as far as I wanted, like, I was kind of hoping for this movie to be more of an all-out war than the more personal story it was. The personal story aspects were still good to watch. Andy Serkis, he knocked it out of the park as Caesar. The effects were still on point. And let's see here. And hold on, Need to check something. Oh yeah. And Woody Harrelson, who knew that goofy guy from Cheers could actually play an effective bad guy? But he gave some pretty chilling and his performance in the film could get pretty chilling from time to time. Made for a good counterpoint to Caesar, and I also liked how they tied this movie into some of the stuff from the original Planet of the Apes series in a pretty effective manner. Like it didn't feel like it was just there because mythology gag or whatever. It had a legitimate thematic impact on the film. This is like an example of a prequel reboot series done right, and I hope that other people I hope that Hollywood is taking notes and that they follow this movie's example, because you don't really see this kind of sometimes in reboots and prequels you don't see this level of attention given to the story. Sometimes, like I said, they'll just, whenever they reference things from the original stuff, it'll just be more for a mythology gag or just to poke fun at it or whatever, as compared to the Ape series, where it was all thematically relevant, really hit you when it did. So yeah, number 6 on my list is War for the Planet of the Apes.
Okay, so I'll list 5 through 2. My number 5 is a movie that, if you ask some people, is the worst movie ever. Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
I thought you were gonna say the Emoji Movie for a second.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate that as much as other people, but so Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I think I'm not maybe I liked it because I'm not that big into Star Wars, but I really liked Force Awakens, and I like this even more. And
you might be right, because I'm not much of a Star Wars fan. I really liked it too.
Yeah,
I'm a Star Wars fan and I liked it.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan and I wasn't into it. So
fine, you go around.
It's all about balance, okay? So
yeah,
two non-fans that didn't like it, a fan that liked it, and a fan that didn't like it. So the equation is all balanced.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I really liked it. I think it's I guess I get the complaints, but I think I admire the risks it took. I understand I'm not going to spoil it because I understand. I admire the risks it took. I understand that there might be unanswered questions because there's still another movie. I do kind of think, in sort of the way of Batman versus Superman, that it might be I mean, no, it's better than Batman versus Superman. I'm just thinking that in a few years down the road, because I've seen old Empire Strikes Back reviews of people that didn't like it when it came out, and I do think that a few years down the road, maybe people will come around to it. Maybe when they see how the trilogy finishes. But for now, I thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was beautifully shot, and everyone gave good performances, and it's just everything I wanted out of it. Sometimes a movie's just really good and you can't really discuss how good it is. It's just a really good movie, and that's what I thought of it. My number 4, let me just make sure. Yeah, my number 4 is a movie that it's so criminally underseen, and I just caught it last week, and it bumped what my original number 10 was. My number 4 is Brigsby Bear.
Yes, good movie.
I love it so much, and it's amazing how the Lonely Island crew, I know it's a bit separate, but the SNL Lonely Island type crew makes much better movies than these big experienced filmmakers, because Pop Stars also maybe in my top 10 from 2016. I just really appreciated this. It really spoke to me. It has this sort of the vibe I kept getting out of it. I know some of you have probably seen it. I kept getting Captain Fantastic vibes out of it for some reason. But yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was really unexpectedly heartfelt. I really don't want to spoil it because it's amazing. I went into this pretty much blind. I knew the plot synopsis that they had to finish a show, but it wasn't as weird as people were saying it was, at least not to me. But I really just enjoyed it, and the less you know about the film, the better, I think. And yeah, I really liked it. My number 3 is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I'm not going to try to say what this movie says about, I know there's a lot of backlash, I guess, towards it. I'm just going to say that I really liked it, and I'm not going to try to go into details, mainly because I don't want to spoil anything, and also because I feel like that could get messy fast. Yeah, I just really thought the screenplay was good. I thought it. I'm always a fan of dark comedies. I guess you could call this that. Depending how serious you want to take it. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought the screenplay was great. I think I'm trying to debate who I like more, Harrelson or Rockwell. I do think Rockwell gives a little bit better performance. But I do really like Harrelson in it. McDormand gives the second best female leading performance I've seen of the year, besides for what my number 2 is. Yeah, and I really liked it. I think it was just a good movie all around from everyone. And my number 2 is my favorite leading actress performance, Lady Bird. You could compare it easily to Edge of 17, just like that whole age range and growing up and stuff. This is better than Edge of 17, but I do still also really like Edge of 17. Yeah, I just thought it was good. Ronan gives a great performance. Metcalf gives a great performance. And yeah, I'm trying to, like, it's just like sometimes you just see movies and like they're just like really good and you can't really say much more about it. It's just I really liked it from start to finish. It's a quick movie. It's easy to watch. It's only like 90 minutes. And it might be the best picture of the year, or maybe Billboards will be, but yeah, okay. So Ryan, 5-2.
Oh, right. So number 5 is a movie I almost didn't go see because the marketing was so terrible that I was like, this can't possibly be good. And that was Only the Brave, which just shocked me on like so many, like, I mean, I knew what the story was about. I'd lived in Arizona for a while, so the story has made the rounds. So I knew what was going to happen, but I was still incredibly struck by the movie and by how much it had to say and how all these characters were very real people, and just like the humanity of this movie was great. And that's why I think Only the Brave was just a pleasant surprise. And it's a movie I hope people really get to on home media, because I think it's a film that will work at home as well. And I think that the story of these heroic firefighters is one worth telling, and was told incredibly well.
And it brought back Miles Teller.
And it did. It was his best performance in a while. At number 4 was a film I was very surprised it fell out of my top 3. And, who knows? Maybe it'll go up someday. But Blade Runner 2049 was, I think, a modern science fiction classic. Denis Villeneuve is one of my favorite filmmakers. I think he does a great job here. Roger Deakins is my favorite cinematographer. It was gorgeous from start to finish. The performances were great. Gosling was great. I thought Ford was great here. I think that he, acted like himself under the floor as like Han Solo just, a couple years before. At the performance, everyone was like, oh my God, Harrison Ford was so good as like an old man. Way better as Old Man Deckard. And I just think this movie was incredible. The complaints about it being too long or too plotty or too thinky didn't matter to me at all. It was just something that completely worked and absolutely fit in that world. Number 3 was a movie that I was excited to see. I was worried it was getting overhyped early, but thankfully when I saw it, I was just ready for it, and it was incredible. And that was James Franco's The Disaster Artist. This is one of the funniest movies I've seen in a long time. I'm a big fan of The Room for what it is. And I think that the way this movie plays out, the performance that Franco gives, just everything about it all sort of came together into one cohesive whole that was just a delight to watch. I went and saw it twice. It was one of only a few movies that I actually got to do that for in 2017. And I just loved it. So The Disaster Artist, definitely great. And my number 2 film was the most recent addition to my top 10. I just saw it on Thursday. It's a film that moved me to tears, that absolutely plays on everything that I care about, really. And that was Steven Spielberg's The Post. I take the idea of truth finding very seriously. And I think that the merits of quality journalism are incredibly important. And the movie was absolutely a message movie about that. And I understand that some people will find it preachy, and it is, but that was fine because I wanted that message. And I think that Spielberg told it in an incredible way. Meryl Streep, even though everybody's going to say, oh my God, Meryl Streep is overrated, she shouldn't get another Oscar nomination, blah, 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 was incredible in this role. She plays a sort of mousy character who really comes into her own. Tom Hanks is really playing, like, he's batting with the big guns with Jason Robards as Ben Bradley. Like, they're really neck and neck for me in terms of how well that role was played. And for something to even come close to All the President's Men is just absurd. This movie was great. I think that Spielberg did everything to heighten this movie beyond the sort of like twee movie that it could have been. So The Post made my number 2, and that's my 5 through 2. So, Jacob.
Wow, that's high praise, saying it's close to All the President's Men.
I mean, I think
I'm seeing it tomorrow.
I think All the President's Men is a better movie as a whole, but to come even in that territory is impressive.
I'll find out. I'm seeing it tomorrow, so cool.
No matter how good Tom Hanks is in it, though, he will not get nominated because the Academy hate him for some reason nowadays.
Yeah, he missed for Saving
Captain
Mr.
Phillips.
Banks, and he missed
Come on.
Sully.
He's too nice. That's why they hate him.
It's a course corrector.
And then Meryl's the opposite, just gets nominated even when she doesn't deserve it. Not saying I'm a part of the Meryl is overrated crowd.
Wait, did you not love her in Florence Foster Jenkins?
But
She did not deserve that nomination.
I
That's bad.
hate that.
Awful.
I hate that film to its very core.
It's such an Academy, like, oh, she's overacting. Oh, it's great.
Just her screaming for 2 hours.
What
That was
film?
bad.
Florence Foster Jenkins. But Jacob, it's very tough to sing poorly.
I didn't see that movie, so I can't comment.
Stole Amy Adams' goddamn nomination. All right.
Haley Steinfeld actually should have gotten nominated for Age of 17. Okay. Okay, 5 through 2.
All right, number 5 is another one that came out a while ago, and that is one that I was expecting to be great, and it totally delivered, and that is War for the Planet of the Apes. I love this trilogy. Rise is great, Dawn is incredible, and War might just be even better. Honestly, it might be one of my favorite trilogies of all time. It's one of the best modern blockbuster sort of series, and I'm glad that Matt Reeves got to make the movie that he wanted to make because it flopped. We're never going to get another one of these again, and I'm just glad they got to finish the trilogy. Matt Reeves has done an incredibly job visually and just telling a story that is kind of challenging. Because it's not all about action and stuff. It is about character. It's slow. Calling your movie War and then having it be a sort of slow character piece, it's a bold choice, and I really, really think it worked. If you don't go into it expecting a lot of action and stuff, if you kind of know what the trilogy is going for with Dawn, then you know it's going to be great. Andy Serkis is incredible, absolutely pioneering the technology and best visual effects I might have ever seen in a film. It's just amazing, and the ending gets you. All right. Number 4 is one that it's Wind River. And I think this is probably my favorite of Tyler Sheridan's movies that he's written so far. And he happened to direct this one as well. And it's a shame that it's been sort of forgotten about. And, you know, Harvey Weinstein was attached to it. So it's kind of dead for awards season now. But props to Taylor Sheridan for sort of getting Harvey's name scrubbed from the film after the fact. He basically said, like, I will nuke the film if you don't take his name off it. But anyway, it's a fantastic movie. It's a story that's really important to Taylor Sheridan. Jeremy Renner gives one of the best performances of the year. Elizabeth Olsen is great. And Gil frickin' Birmingham only has 2 scenes, but he is fantastic. And the third act comes down on you like a ton of bricks. There's a standoff scene that is incredibly tense, and Sheridan's kind of showing that is what he has a knack for, tension. And sort of, it is a kind of pulpy movie, but it never forgets to tell its true story, and it has a lot of compassion and heart, and the ending's incredibly emotional, and it has maybe the best use of a flashback I've ever seen, with an unexpected appearance from a great actor. My number 3 is it was my number 1 for quite a while until just a couple months ago, and that is Dunkirk. I know this was one that a lot of people didn't love. A lot of people thought it was boring. It blew me away. I think it's Nolan's best work yet. I think it comes down to whether you're in the zone for it or not. Because if you're in the zone for it, I think Nolan perfectly achieved what he was setting out to do. The three sort of timeline structure really, really worked for me, because when it all comes together at the end, it is so, so satisfying. I don't know how any living soul could call this movie boring. I think it is the most riveting and intense film of the year. Visually, it's incredible. I actually think it has better cinematography than Blade Runner. The score is fantastic. It is really, really intense. And the performances are great. And by not sort of focusing on one character, by just giving us a bunch of characters, it made me care more about all 400,000 soldiers rather than just focusing on one main character and not caring about all the other expendables who get killed. Every single death in this film feels like a tragedy. And I think it's a fantastic tribute to all these soldiers and to Britain coming together as a whole. Yeah, my number 2 is another one that I didn't like quite as much the first time I saw it, and then I rewatched it, and I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. And that is Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Martin McDonagh is one of my favorite dudes working right now. Seven Psychopaths and In Bruges are among my all-time favorite films. I just love his style. I love dark comedy. And Three Billboards was different to what I was expecting. Without giving too much away, it's a much more compassionate film than you would expect going in. And, I rewatched it knowing what I was getting, and I'm like, yeah, this is fantastic. And it really helps seeing with the right crowd who laugh at the right moments and stuff, because there's a lot of bitter irony in this that is really funny. Frances McDormand is incredible. Probably going to win the Oscar, very well deserved. And Sam Rockwell, my man, he's been one of my favorite actors for a long time, and I've been sick of them putting him in a bunch of shit movies, and hopefully that's about to turn around now.
Iron Man 2 is fine.
I don't really remember that one, but like, he's so great. I think Seven Psychopaths is still my favorite performance of his, but he is like incredible in this, and totally deserves to win the Oscar if he does. Even the supporting cast is great. Woody Harrelson is fantastic. He's really good. Caleb Landry Jones is good, who's popped up in a lot of big movies this year. But yeah, it's just so well written. I get a lot of the backlash it's having. I completely disagree with those criticisms without going into spoilers. But yeah, I'm just really glad to see a McDonagh film getting massive awards praise. I never expected it. All right,
then you finished?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Dunkirk was another could have been on my list. I did not see it, and my sister would not forgive me for not seeing it in theaters. It's like she kept saying to me, for a guy that wants to direct one day, you not seeing Dunkirk is like, just what the hell, Colton? But anyway, number 5 on my list is Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So, okay. I actually do get why people have issues with this movie. I mean, it's probably one of the few times where I've seen a movie with a heavy divide where I actually can see where both sides are coming from, rather than feeling like one side is being like unreasonable or whatever. With the exception of the criticism that Rose is apparently the new Jar Jar Binks, that's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard, to say the least. But that's another story. Anyway, I'll get through this quickly so I won't torture Ryan. But anyway, The Last Jedi, it was like, this is how I wanted to feel when I saw The Force Awakens. Like, when I saw The Force Awakens, I was like, okay, that was kind of cool. I mean, that was kind of cool. I didn't really think much else after that, though I did like it better on rewatches. But when I saw The Last Jedi, this was like probably the most excited I've been. Well, okay, I really enjoyed Revenge of the Sith when it came out back in the day, but I mean, when I saw The Last Jedi, this is like probably the first time I've really found Star Wars to really be this is the most thought-provoking I've found Star Wars to have been since The Empire Strikes Back, I think. And, like, I won't go too far into it due to spoilers, but like Luke and Rey's first lesson, that was like the first time they've said anything regarding the Force that felt, really, it was like, dang, we're like actually getting some more real lore into it compared to the prequels where they kind of just, vaguely talked about the negative aspects of the Force, like how, fear and anger leads to the dark side, yada, yada. And the performances were all great, I mean, say what you will about Luke's characterization in this movie, but damn, did Mark Hamill hit it out of the park. And he also got in some great comedy also. Like, the way he just trolls Rey during their first lesson, I mean, Master Yoda would be proud of him for that. And this movie was also probably one of the most beautiful Star Wars, one of the most beautifully shot films in the entire series. It's like, I can't go into it because of spoilers, but yeah, I love the cinematography in this movie, and the action also had a level of tension to it that I think had been kind of missing for a while in Star Wars, or at least wasn't quite as present in The Force Awakens. Like when things went south for our heroes, I really felt like the tension. And of course, Adam Driver, he's still hitting it out of the park as Kylo Ren. And in this movie, it took us in a few places that I wasn't expecting it to go. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. But it does shape things up for a finale that probably won't be conventional, though. Like I love Return of the Jedi, but the movie was kind of a classic final battle, whereas with this trilogy, it feels like we might be going in a not so traditional direction. So I'm pretty hyped up for what they've done so far. And Daisy Ridley, of course, continues to do a good job. Oscar Isaac's got his due now, as he got to have more material to work with, and same can be said for Finn. While John Boyega didn't have quite as much to do as Finn, he still got to show his chops whenever he did. And of course, we can't forget about Carrie Fisher. I know that Carrie Poppins is a meme, but damn it all to hell, I loved that. I loved that moment. I will defend it to the end. Okay, see, I can't talk about it because of spoilers, but fuck it. Okay, I loved that scene. Okay, maybe it's because of the irony. Maybe it's because of the irony of the fact that Carrie Fisher's dead, so we won't be seeing that happening ever again in Star Wars. But regardless, I love that moment. Anyway, number 4 on my list is a surprise for me and my only other non-blockbuster franchise movie on this list, and that's Get Out. When it comes to horror movies, they're more miss than hit more times than not. You have to go through a lot of haystack. You'll have to search a lot of rainbows before you'll find that pot of gold at the end. But Get Out, it was one of those rare horror movies that really managed to make my skin crawl. Like, I didn't think it really made me uneasy. I mean, partially because the social commentary aspects of where the horror was being drawn from, but still, even if you took that stuff out, the way the horror was in this movie was executed was nothing short of excellent. Like during the first hypnosis scene, I felt my skin crawling the entire time, and that was just because the woman was stirring up a cup of tea with a spoon. I'm like, stop stirring it! I can't take it. And when the main character gets taken into the quote unquote sunken place, I'm like, okay, this is really starting to freak me out. It will probably be higher on the list if there was a bit more to the climax, though the climax itself is so awesome in its own right. Yeah, that's why I never Get Out number 4 on my list. I hope it probably won't get nominated for anything because, it's horror, and when was the last time we saw a horror movie get nominated for something?
Silence of the Lambs, right? I'm sure there's
maybe.
Yeah.
Aliens was Silence of the Lambs before Aliens, or
no, it was way after Aliens.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty sure Silence of the Lambs was the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So I mean, I'll be happy if it gets nominated though, because gotta get some variety out there and show that there is more to the Oscars than just some of the typical things that come out towards the end of the year. And of course, they actually managed to. I think this is also. Oh yeah, real quick before I go to my number 3, Get Out is also a movie that knows how to manage to properly work in comedy relief into their horror film without it feeling like it was coming at the expense of the scares. The main character's best friend, I actually really liked him, how he was used in the film, and that he wasn't just some. You would think in any other horror movie he'd be the idiot that gets killed, but there was actually more to it than that. So I give them props to how he was used.
He's basically the audience.
Yeah, I won't go.
Don't go in there.
Yeah,
I won't go into it because of the spoil. I won't go into it because of spoilers. But he's a pretty likable character, and yeah, like Jacob says, he does function as an audience surrogate throughout the film, in a way. Mm-hmm. Number 3 on my list is Logan. So Logan, when I heard that when it comes to Wolverine, I like him and dislike him at the same time in the X-Men franchise because it feels like his importance comes at everybody else's expense, despite the fact that Hugh Jackman does such a good job that you don't really care. Well, with the exceptions of X-Men The Last Stand and X-Men Origins Wolverine, but that's another story. But when I saw the trailers for Logan, I thought, okay, they actually have me excited for another Wolverine movie somehow. And the film did not disappoint. There's a time and place when you need to for deconstruction of superheroes and all that jazz. And I think that Logan was a good take on breaking Wolverine down to our level, so to speak. Like, he's no longer the super tough, ultra badass. He has to suffer through the fact that everyone he loves and knows is pretty much dead except for him and Professor X. And it was really interesting seeing a more broken Wolverine with very little left to hold on to besides helping out the man that once helped him. And quote or minor bit, I really hope that it is just an alternate universe and not like the official canon ending to the X-Men series, because it would be very, very depressing if it was, to say the least. But the standout part of this movie was Daphne Keane as X-23. I mean, being a child actor is hard enough, but to actually manage to make X-23 not only terrifying, but she could have easily been like a silly character with the amount of times she had to scream or screech or yell as she was going on the attack. But she managed to make her actually absolutely terrifying, especially the first sequence we get where she uses her powers against the Reavers, they're called, I think. Ravagers. Wait, no, Ravagers is Guardians of the Galaxy. The Reavers, or whatever their names are. When we first see her like going on the attack, and the main villain, Donald Pierce, who's like tells the war or X-23 to get away from them, and their claws like pop out. When I saw that in theaters, a couple of people sitting next to me were like, "Oh shit!" And the action just was phenomenal from that point on. But of course, we got some very great acting from Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman and Daphne Keane. Some good drama. Just a solid, conclusion to the Wolverine arc. Well, assuming it is the conclusion. I mean, now that we got the Fox deal, I mean, who knows how much money they'll throw at Hugh Jackman to get him to appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I personally hope he doesn't, though, because this is a great way to end the character and not keep milking him or anything like that. And number 2 on my list is Wonder Woman. I know some people think this movie is overrated, and I don't really care. This was probably probably my favorite superhero movie to come out last year. Yeah, even more than my favorite superhero ever, Spider-Man. As much as it pains me to say it, like I really loved the character dynamic between Diana and Steve. He was like more trying to be more practical about the war, while she had more idealism. And in a lesser film, this could have felt like a dumb dynamic, but it actually really developed and shaped the characters in a pretty good way. Like I won't go too far into it, but during the third act, when Steve says he wishes that a war was as easy as getting rid of one man and saying it's over, but it's not that simple. That really hit me, and like that was like the true horror of a war. And as Avi mentioned earlier, No Man's Land, that was one of my favorite scenes. It could have been something that could have been handled poorly, but when Steve was like, it's No Man's Land, that means no man can cross it, you probably expect Diana to say, I am no man. But they probably get sued by Peter Jackson if she did. But beside that, the way she said, you may not, he's like, but then he goes on and says, it's not what we're here to do. And she says, maybe not, but it's what I'm here to do. And it's one of the things I love about superheroes, just the ways they inspire and motivate you to do good. Even the third act, which I have my issues with, is thought-provoking in its own right and has a bit of a heartwarming feel to it. And this is a movie that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did. Like I still had issues with the DCEU following Suicide Squad. So to see Wonder Woman just knock it out of the park, I'm like, bravo DC, bravo, you have my attention again. And so here's hoping that Aquaman manages to keep their momentum up in the solo films, and we'll find out this year. When's it coming out?
Late
December?
late in the year.
Later in the year, yeah. But anyway, that is my number 2. So
yeah,
okay.
I'll say my one.
Next.
So
It's coming out December 21st.
Yeah.
December? Seriously? We gotta wait that long?
Okay, so well, first I'll say, well, my laptop's about to run out of power, so I'm gonna say my number 1. I'll go do quickly, and then I'll charge my laptop and let you all finish up. So, well, first I'll say, Jacob, Sam Rockwell was great in Mr. Right.
Agreed.
I will say he was okay in it, but the movie's awful.
Yeah.
What? I love that movie. I mean, it's
The
Sam
movies are
Rockwell.
great, but it's fun.
Yeah,
what more could you ask for?
I only watched it because it's Anna Kendrick, but so okay, my number one is if we're going best movie that came out in 2017, I'd probably give it to 2049, even though it's low on my list, like best made. But this is how I describe it. But if we're talking favorite, my favorite movie, and I'm wearing the shirt, it's The Disaster Artist. So I got to see a little story. I got to see The Room a few weeks early. I mean, no, I got to see The Room in like a riffing type thing, and they gave us tickets to see The Disaster Artist 2 weeks early. And just watching The Disaster Artist in a packed house of other like fans that are anticipating the movie, seeing it 2 weeks early, and everyone like laughing at the jokes, it was just amazing. And I know some people might say it doesn't do what the book does, but if you did what the book did, you'd be a 5-hour movie. It has to flow. I think it gets what it needs to get, and it lets people at least read the book to see what they didn't put in. I still think it's a perfectly flowing movie. Most of the jokes hit. Like it's probably also my favorite comedy of 2017. Most of the jokes hit. And I will point out one performance. Zac Efron probably gives my favorite performance in the movie, and it's
Chris R is the best scene.
It's 1 minute in the movie, and it's just I love it. And
all in this together.
I probably but I'm honestly gonna put him in like my favorite supporting actors of the year, even though it is like a 1 minute scene. I know people put the person from the diner scene in Hell or High Water as like their favorite supporting performances, so this is same, even though it's like 2 minutes.
What if I don't got 5 fucking minutes, Denny?
It's amazing because that is the turn, as Colton like started singing. It is the turn from like High School Musical to like Zac Efron doing these more like R-rated movies, and it's great. I even think he's great in Baywatch. And that movie is whatever.
That's another story.
I don't know, but yeah, Disaster Artist is my favorite movie of the year, and it has a lot to do with the crowd I saw it with, and I think that plays a factor. It's my favorite due to that. Yeah.
The crowd is definitely a big factor because I saw it twice. One time the crowd was into it, and one time it wasn't, and that was way less enjoyable.
I still thought it was great both times, but I was still on the high from the first time. Yeah.
The second time the second crowd I saw it with was not as into it, but I was so into it that I didn't care, and I was just like the only one laughing, which is fine.
It's good. Okay,
I'll be that guy.
Ryan, you could say your one while I charge this, and you could all continue talking, and then I'll stop when it's over.
Okay, my number one film of the year is a film that it has annoyed me to no end that people don't like it for some reason, or like not that they don't like it, but they don't think it's incredible. And that is Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. This movie is just so absolutely phenomenal that I'm just so perplexed by people who are like, oh, I couldn't connect to this film. Oh, I didn't feel the tension. Oh, it's boring. Like, it's just like thing after thing. And I just like am sitting there in a state of disbelief. Like, I think that the way the story was told is brilliant. I think that all of the production elements are pitch perfect, and I don't think there's any way to criticize them in any meaningful way. The sheer scale of it was amazing. The cinematography in this movie is great. Even on the boat, which is like the weakest parts of the cinematography, it still looks great. And the fact that they like dragged an IMAX camera around everywhere was really impressive. The performances in this movie are actually something that are not getting enough credit. And I really I saw this movie in IMAX the way that it was meant to be seen on its 70 millimeter print. And that was great. And a lot of people are saying that, oh, this movie's not going to hold up at home. But when I was when I had the chance to watch it at home recently, I was just amazed by, well, A, how good it looks at home, but B, also how much you see the more subtleties in the performances that you may have missed with the bombast in the theater. I think that really just everything about this movie was pitch perfect. It tells like a very, very compelling war story, and one that really needs to be told. Don't get me wrong, I'm not like anti-American army. We get a lot of U.S. war stories, especially in World War II, and the other Allied forces, especially the Brits and the Commonwealth as they were following them, were involved in the war a lot earlier and dealt with a lot more crap. And I think that finally seeing a truly great story about them and about the heroism that they showed in that time period was really great to see. And this movie absolutely floored me. It's definitely going to be one of my favorites of the decade, far beyond anything I saw last year or the year before. I love Dunkirk, and I think that it rightfully belongs at the top of my list.
And I hope Nolan wins Best Director.
Me too. It won't
Probably
happen,
won't.
sadly.
It's going to be Guillermo, which
But he'll
is equally
finally get
cool. I
nominated.
love Guillermo.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he hasn't been
Guillermo's
nominated yet. So
Yeah.
my number one. Again, this list is not finalized. I'm still kind of holding out hope that Shape of Water is going to blow me away. But and there's a lot of stuff I need to see. But this movie I saw about 3 months ago at a festival, and I've seen it 3 times now, and it is Call Me by Your Name. I love this movie. It blew me away. I think Timothée Chalamet is my favorite performance of the year, and I don't know if I can see him being topped, but I will see. Without spoiling anything, the final shot of this movie is extremely challenging, and he absolutely nailed it. Luca Guadagnino. I wasn't entirely hyped up for this because I saw his other movie the other year, a couple years ago, A Bigger Splash, which I thought was okay, but I didn't really connect to it. I'm not a big fan of the genre of like rich white people hanging out on holiday in Italy, in Europe and stuff. Like I don't really like that genre, but this movie kind of falls into that genre, but it's so like full of life and so beautiful that it really transcends most of the pretensions that genre has. And, you know, it is a love story, you know, and that's what it's about, love, because what I love about this movie is that it's about a gay relationship, but it didn't try to make me feel bad for them. There are so many movies like this that are focused on the hardships and the prejudice and the politics, but Call Me By Your Name's a straight up love story, and just the fact that it happens to be about 2 dudes is never made a big deal about it. And like, you know, homosexuality in movies needs to stop being treated as something out of the ordinary. And they did a great job because the obstacles in this movie are not about their sexuality. It is about love, and it's about, you know, loving someone and not knowing whether they love you back, and you know how you can build up the strength to tell them, you know. And that's why the movie is so slow paced, because when it comes together in the 3rd act, you know, there's a lot of reflection. The movie is all about memory, sort of about memories and holding on to them. Armie Hammer is great. He really likes playing gay dudes, as we see. I think he played another one in some other movie last year. And Michael frickin' Stuhlbarg. I've been a fan of his since I saw A Serious Man, and he absolutely destroys it in this movie. He has a speech in this movie that I cannot watch without crying. I've seen it 3 times. He's amazing. I would be nominating him for awards, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But yeah, the songs by Sufjan Stevens are just like, the man has a PhD in ripping my fucking heart out. The whole ending of this movie is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I definitely get where people are coming from saying it's slow paced and everything like that. And yeah, and then there's also the other criticisms like it's a pedophile movie. Shut up, James Woods. Yeah, no, I love Call Me By Your Name. Yeah, that's my number one.
I think that's a movie I really want in my top 10, but the controversy, so to speak, was something that like sort of stuck in my craw when I was watching it, and that's why I really want to see the movie again.
Yeah, I mean, like
how
I would get where it's coming from if it was like predatory, but it's not really predatory at all in the movie. Like it's without trying to give away too much. It's more sort of Elio that initiates it, and you know, it's technically legal in Italy.
Yeah. Also, I should say that Michael Stuhlbarg should be nominated for being like the MVP of the year, because he was great in Call Me By Your Name, he was great in The Shape of Water, and he was great in The Post. So
and Fargo season 3. He was great in that.
We'll throw that onto his resume too.
All right, you finished?
Yep.
All right. Number 1 on my list is about another big surprise for me, to say the least, and it is the Lego Batman movie. So watching this film, I was expecting, when the movie starts off, you know, it starts off with Batman fighting his entire rogues gallery, and I thought, okay, this is what the entire movie is going to be, you know, just a straight up action comedy with a lot of laughs, a lot of action, which I just said. Anyway, and not much else to it, and just gonna be a fun time at the movies. But surprisingly enough, they actually got kind of deeper with this movie than I expected them to. I mean, not deep, but I mean, the fact that they actually, tried to explore Batman as a character is not something you would expect from a movie that was more or less a parody of the concept, and I really like that they went there, especially with Will Arnett, shockingly enough, managed to actually appeal to my emotions somehow, with his Batman performance, which is again a surprise when you remember how Batman acted in the Lego movie, which on another note, I think I like more than the Lego Batman movie, but just because they were allowed to do more than just one concept. But anyway, back to the Lego Batman movie. I also thought it interesting what they did with Batman's relationship with the Joker. Like I'd never seen it. I mean, you've seen people, treat Batman and the Joker as almost like they're in a relationship, almost with their constant back and forth. So it was funny to see the Lego Batman movie just flat out, throw out all the subtleties and act like Batman and the Joker were actually almost like they're almost like a couple, so to speak. Especially like I don't remember the exact moments, but like he is like Batman is like, you mean nothing to me or something like that. And, like, oh, Batman, you're only lying to yourself. And what do you know? Michael Cera was actually able to pull out a good performance himself in this movie. I mean,
what's wrong with Michael Cera?
Well,
yeah, he's good.
Nothing's wrong with him. He just went further than I expected of him as a voice role, I guess you could say. Like there's more range to his voice than I'm used to, is all I'm saying. I guess you could say.
He's not a great Tobey Maguire, but he's good.
Oh, is that Molly's Game?
I can't wait to see Molly's Game.
I
know that. I just don't know what it means.
Hyped for that movie.
Yeah,
the movie doesn't mean that.
Michael Cera, he did a good job. We had Ralph Fiennes playing Alfred, but not playing Lego Voldemort for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, he did a good job in that regard. And I just loved all the Lego jokes we got, all the just little bits of humor here or there, and subtle things you might not notice, like Billy D. Williams voices Two-Face, because he voiced him back in the original Burton, in the first two Burton films, and he would have been him in the next movie if he hadn't gotten screwed over and replaced with Tommy Lee Jones. But then again, considering how Batman Forever turned out, I guess he dodged a bullet there. And there's also, just other bits of Lego humor I didn't really notice, like when during the opening battle, a bunch of penguins land on Batman's Batwing or whatever and start trying to tear it apart, and just the Lego, you might not notice it at first, but it's actually well done, and the animation in general is just freaking beautiful. And you would probably think this is stop motion, but no, it's all CG that's designed to look like stop motion. But it's a pretty good image. It's a pretty good simulation, to say the least. And overall, Lego Batman movie. That's why it's my favorite. If I made any sense there. I did not see the Lego Ninjago movie, but from what I heard, it was not as good.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Good moment. It has moments.
It's been a pretty weak year for animation overall.
Yeah.
Coco, Lego Batman, and Loving Vincent are really
Captain Underpants. That was the movie that got knocked out.
The Breadwinner was good.
I didn't see that either.
Okay. So,
yeah. Hearing all these lists is just really making me realize how few films I saw. That's my resolution for the series, to see more original films and all that jazz, or just more movies in general.
Like Brigsby Bear. Everyone needs to see Brigsby Bear.
I've heard about that, and
I did
not know what that movie was about.
Don't.
It's a great tribute to
knowing what it's about. That's how you have to go into it.
Can I call it a quick couple honorable mentions before we peace out?
Sure, and then I'm just going to stop this afterwards because my laptop. Gosh. Okay, yeah, go.
Okay, I really want to call out Colossal was great. Better Watch Out was surprisingly great. Detroit was great. Wonder was probably my surprise of the year. Great, delightful child movie. Love Lego Batman. Love War for Planet of the Apes. Call Me by Your Name, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Okay. So, is that it?
Yeah. Hold on, real quick. A movie that honorable mention on my list, it nearly made it, but was knocked out by Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and that was Thor Ragnarok. Probably the most I've liked Thor himself since probably Thor's best outing since the Avengers. So they actually have me excited to see what's going to happen to him in Avengers: Infinity War, to say the least. And also all the stuff on Sakaar was hilarious. I mean. It's like
I could honestly give like 50 honorable mentions.
Yeah. No, the
I feel like
list you got.
I feel like that was the movie that the director really wanted to make. So anyway, so kudos to them in those regards. But anyway, that's my honorable mention.
Honorable mentions were Logan Lucky and All the Money in the World. But yeah, I really have to shut this off.
Okay.
So bye.
Nice chatting with you guys. Good show.
Peace out.